Hello everyone, it's Amy, and I am here for week 9 of Build Your Stash and Craft, and we are going to make little pictured gems that you can use for flower centers. You can use them for tacks for your tack board, and you can use them, these could go as flower centers, they could go on a mixed media project, you could use them for all sorts of things. And so this is what we're going to do today. So what we're going to need is we are going to need some clear nail polish, and we're going to need our adhesive. You're going to need some pictures and even just designs from junk mail or books. I don't know if I said the clear nail polish. We're going to need some gems. Come in a package like this from the Dollar Tree. You can get them at Walmart or probably most stores if you look in your flower section or the section where they have their vases. And also you can use your old nail polishes that we've already got, some painty paper, some white paper, our scissors, and that's probably about it. So the way to start these is to find yourself some pictures that you like, and you can either glue them on with your glue or with your clear nail polish. I like to use the clear nail polish, and I just pick out some gems that I like and pick a picture. And I think I'm going to go with this picture right here. And so all you do, let me just move a little bit of this out of my way. And I like to kind of like put it on, which reminds me, let's move some of these out of the way. I like to put it on something flat so that I can move it out of my way because they do have to dry. The glue probably dries a little quicker than the nail polish does, but what I do is I just do up a bunch of them on pictures, and then I work on my bling to go around the edges while they're drying, and I just kind of make sure that I get to the edges and just kind of get a good drop there, and then just put it right where you want it, give it a little press, and voila. Now all you have to do is just wait for it to dry. You don't want to move them a lot on your magazine papers or your newspapers. You want to try and kind of keep them, just get it on there and give it a good press. The more that you move it, it seems the more that the color from the other side of your newspaper or your magazine page, it seems like the color from the other side tends to come through if you move it around a lot. So I'll just do a few more of these. This cameo is really pretty. And then I can set them aside to dry while I'm working on my bling pieces. Just want to get it where I want it and give it a press. You do want to give it a press so that it adheres to your paper. I have 2 more pieces of bling. I wanted to show you, even especially like for mixed media, I like to just even do things like the stripes on this return postcard, which was just, the junk postcard you get out of the middle of a magazine. Get my nail polish on there. And then just give that a push. Hold it for just a second. And then even things like, this is just a game board. You have to remember to look past what these items are, because once you cut it out, it's not going to really necessarily be noticeable. Nobody's going to know. You know when you set this down that, yep, this is the middle of a game board. But once you cut this out, it's just going to be a really pretty design. So here's what we have with those so far. I'm hoping that we can kind of get a fairly decent picture of them, but there's that center design. There's what that one looks like. I think that is so cool with the black and white stripe. We have just the face of Our Lady, and you're getting a big shadow here from my light. And I don't know really, I can't tip it too much, but then we've got, that's just a bling, and that one has a little crown on it. So I'm going to set those aside to dry. And then we're going to work on our bling that we got. Now this bling that I have comes in, we'll see, 1, 2, 3, this is 6 blings wide. You can get them 2 blings wide, you know, just whatever you get, it really doesn't matter. But the way to do those is, I kind of figure out how much it will take me to get around a stone. And then I take just a few extras because the stones aren't exactly the same size. Now to figure this out, you can't do it this way because it won't bend this way. But you can measure it this way. And just measure it around and say, okay, right there is where it's going to be to get all the way around that stone. And then I'm just going to take like 2 or 3 more, and then that's where I'm going to cut it. Because if I have a bling that's a little bigger, now if I have a few extra pieces, we can save those, use those in other pieces. And then what you're going to want to do is, this bling tends to have little like hairs coming off the edge. Those are the strings, where the strings quit, where they cut their things apart. And I like to take those and cut those off. I don't like the looks of those. So I just go through with my scissors and I just trim those off like this. And the one thing that I noticed earlier, which was kind of cool as I was trimming them, these are all put on this mesh, and then they're spray painted whatever color they want to spray paint them. So as you're trimming off these little hairs, what happens is you wind up with a little pile of fuzz. Now that fuzz is actually, I'm going to grab it here, what I did earlier, is actually quite sparkly and shiny. And so I kind of collected that up and kept it, and I'm going to stick it in a little envelope because there's no telling when I may need that. It's basically like an item called Flower Soft. And that's what it reminds me of. So all I did was I just scooped them all up onto my paper, and I'm going to find a little envelope, put those in. And I'm going to keep those because they're quite sparkly. They'll look really nice on a piece of mixed media. Once you get your edge trimmed, then what I do is to trim off my first line, I push my scissors right up against this first piece of bling right here. I push my scissors right up against it on each one and just snip, snip. And that way I'm cutting those little hairs off right next to this first line of bling. It's going to leave the whole piece of string or mesh attached to the next one over. So once we get this one off, and if you kind of push against that little bit of bling when you snip, it really gives you a nice clean line there. And then what happens is now we've got this one, and this one has got the little hairs hanging off next to it. So then what we'll do is we'll just trim off those hairs. And be careful because these are plastic. I've actually cut the edge of those off before, but you can still use them in a lot of different things. Just trim off those hairs and then start with the next one and push against it and just snip, 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 snip all the way through till you have a few lines. And what I do, because I have my gems over there, my glass gems drying, that gives me plenty of time to play with getting these ready. So, and you can even do this, put a little piece of paper or something on your lap in the evening and just trim away some of these as you're just sitting there in the evening watching TV, so that you have them ready. Because I like to have some ready when I'm ready to put them on my stones. So once you get them trimmed like this, you have your rock. And hold on, I want to get something that I can get closer here. So you have your rock and you have your little bit of trim, and you're going to want to try and wrap this around. And what's going to happen is it's not going to want to wrap really well because it has a piece of string on each side. So what we're going to have to do is take one side of that off to make it. I'm going to grab one here that I've already got started. We're going to just get a hold of it. There's a string on this side, and I know this is very hard to see. and then there's a string on this side over here. So what we're going to do is we're just going to snip next to that and then come over here and snip next to this one. And we're going to do that on the whole line of string that runs down this side of the bling, leaving the string on the other side intact, because that will make it wrap around your gem just perfectly. And so you just go back and forth and just snip that off. And, oops, get this very last one here. Make sure I'm cutting the right side. There we go. So now I have the string trimmed off this whole side, and now this will go around no problem. And now that we'll be able to put that next to our gem and wrap it all the way around. Whereas the one that has string on both sides, when you try and wrap it around, it just wants to bend up and curl up and stand up. It just doesn't want to cooperate. So what you need to do is just make sure you have your whole line with only one thread running the full length of your bling. Now, to do the one I did here on this flower center actually has two blings sticking out. You do it the same way basically. You just cut two blings, trim off all of your edges like that, and then when you're going to go in, you have to again trim those. You're going to trim all the way down. You're going to trim past the first one completely, and then you're going to just take this one string off the bottom one, and then do the same thing on this side, so that you still have the one string at the bottom but nothing else. And so you're just going to go in. When you look at too wide like this, you see 1, 2, 3, 4 strings, and you want to cut off the first 3 and leave the fourth one intact. Now, if you get to the point where you're cutting and oh no, I cut that bottom string, now I have to throw this away because it's not long enough, it's just fine. If you've cut it off, just continue trimming all of them, and then when you go to put it around your circle, here's one that I actually cut through. Here's this part, and I accidentally cut this part off. All I'm going to do, whoops, and all I'm going to do with that is I'm going to just wrap this around when I glue it down, and that's going to go all the way around, and then I'm just going to put this other one right next to it. So it will meet up, but it's hard to do just with one hand in my hand. So don't throw them away, just keep them, keep those two pieces together, because those two pieces should be about the right length to go around your stone. And so that's how you trim a single one, and that's how you trim a double one. So basically, no matter, you could do a triple one if you wanted to, and if you did a triple one, you would wind up cutting all of the strings except for that very last string. You just want to have that one string. That's what's going to wrap around your bead and keep your whole string together in place. And we'll just brush those off for now. Let me just show you how this one, when that wraps around, see how it flares out like that? That's really cool. But if you were to try and do that, I'll cut another 2 here. Oops. I have my scissors stuck in it. That doesn't work. Cut another 2 like that. And how this goes around and it fans out and it looks very pretty. This one, if you try and twist it, it's not going to twist. And you could kind of push it down and twist it and push it, but no matter what, it is going to bunch up. It just will not, it will not twist around. It'll stand up on its edge and twist around just fine. Make yourself a little ring like that, see? But so that is how we're going to trim our bling, and you just trim up however many blings you're going to need. I have some already cut here to go around the gems that you already have done. Or, you know, just do some and stick them in a little envelope and keep them for later. I'm going to stop right here for a second and upload this part of the video, and then we'll go on to putting these around our gems. Okay, I'm back, And now we're going to put our little blingy parts on and we will be done. Now there's different ways that you can do this. You can, let's see. Okay, is in the case of the tack here, when I trimmed the tack, all I did was just trim around the paper that I had glued on and I was done. Now I could have put a white backing on that so that you wouldn't see the back of the magazine page, but that one was trimmed that way. And then this one here, I trimmed it all the way, just like this one, trimmed it right next to the bead. And then I glued this one to a piece of white scrap paper. And then after I glued on my gems and that dried, I put just a little bit of pink paint between my gems, my pink glitter paint, because I thought that looked pretty with, I don't know that you can actually see this, but these are like a bouquet of pink flowers. So on this one, I had trimmed right around my gem, and then pulling my flower apart, I glued it on my painty paper, and then I trimmed it around so that I trimmed way down in between them, so that I could put it there in the center of my flower. And so those are kind of the ways that you can trim them. You need something, if you're going to put the bling on them, you need something behind it to glue your bling to. So normally I would trim completely around the edge of the stone, and then glue it onto another piece of paper to glue my bling to, because I don't really want this as a background. But there's a few here, as in the case of this one is a clock. And I really like the looks of that clock. And so what I'm going to do with this one is I am just going to trim around the outside edge of that clock and leave it attached to my bling that way. And I'll be using this one in a piece of mixed media on a canvas or something. But I didn't want to trim the rest of that clock off there. I wanted to keep that. So that one now is trimmed like that, and it has all the Roman numerals still around the clock. Has the hands in the middle of my gem, and I really like the way that one turned out. Now this one, I'm going to put the bling around it, but I am going to leave this backing because I want that black and white to show between my little bits of bling. So this one I'm going to use bling, but I'm going to leave the stripes on there. The rest of these that I have, I will just trim around the edge like this. And these ones will all be glued to painty paper or white paper, depending on what I think I want to put there. This one I wanted to show you. This one, I painted the back with my glitter nail polish, let it dry, and then I painted it with my blue nail polish, and I got that. And then I did put it on this paper. I was going to put the bling on this one, but this one I have decided, because I really like the way the color turned out, I've decided that I want to make this one into a tack for my tack board. So this one I'm just going to trim around the edge, and I'm going to glue a tack to the bottom of this one. So that one I'm going to keep there, and I'm going to glue a tack to it. And the rest of these can just be trimmed up and either glued to a piece of our white paper that we bought, or a piece of scrap junk mail that we have that's just white. But, you know, they go from, that goes from looking like this, where all of that background is quite distracting. And sometimes it's kind of hard to even imagine what it's going to look like. And then you get it trimmed out, and it looks like that, which is really pretty. So that's the one thing you have to remember. This one was out of a magazine, little butterfly. It was on the edge of a tablecloth in the magazine. And the thing is that this does magnify a little bit because it's showing through the domed glass. So, but even at that, these marbles are so small that, really small pictures really just turn out wonderful with these. And there we have that little butterfly. which turned out really cute. So, and then this one, because I wanted to put sparkly on this and see what it looked like, this one I glued down with my glitter nail polish. That's how I glued it right to this page, and it dried just fine, and it looks really pretty with the glitter there and a little bit of the blue behind it from the paper. And this one I am also going to use as a tack because I'm liking those blue colors for my tacks. So, alrighty, I'm just going to put this one aside and I'm going to show you how we do this. Now, see, I have this nice big piece of white here, and all I'm going to do is take my glue, put it on there, put my gem on there, and there we go. Now that one's ready to go to put the silver around, and it's already got a little bit of glue squishing out there. So I am just going to move these out of the way. I'll put this right here. And when I put that on, the glue squished out this whole side. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start there. And I am just going to press this into that glue. Like that. And then I'm going to just put a little bit of this glue out on my pad. And then I've just got some little pieces of cardboard here. I'm going to pick some of that up and just put it right on there. This glue is kind of stringy and a little bit smelly. That's why I use it to glue down my gems, but I don't use it to glue onto my paper because I don't like the smell of it. That's why I use the nail polish to glue it to my paper. I'm coming around here, and I'm going to need to trim this one right there. And just bring that one around. It's very, very sticky glue. There we go. And there we go. That one's ready to go. We have to wait for that glue to dry, and then we'll just trim around the edges. We can kind of trim between them. We can trim it like that and leave a little edge so that we can put some color in there. So that one is done. Okay, let's take this little butterfly, and we'll put this little butterfly on some with the blue bling. Just gonna put a dollop of the glue on there. Give that a good press, and now that you've got that glued on there, where I told you not to do too much rubbing when you originally glued it together, with this one you can kind of do that, and that way you'll get a little bit of that glue squished out on the edges to give you a start for your bling. I'm going to use the short one. This is the one that I told you that I accidentally cut off part of it. So I'm going to put that on there and then get some more glue. Oh, I gotta pick it up. Excuse me. Nope, I slid my whole butterfly over. There we go, get some more glue on there around the edges. Try not to get it on your stone because this is it's like a super glue. Well, it says it's super glue. So it's a very sticky glue and it doesn't come off well. So try and keep it down around the bottom. Now we're just going to put this around here, get it stuck into the glue. There we go. Okay. Now, That's the one that I accidentally cut off. And I had 2 of them that I cut off, but that's not going to be long enough. I'm going to need 3. So I'm just going to go to one of these other pieces I have cut, and I'm going to take 3. I'm going to put a little bit more glue in there. Now what did I do with the 3? There they are. Put those on there. And there we go. We'll let that one dry, and then we can trim it up. And there's our butterfly with the blue bling. So that's as easy as it is. I will quickly show you one with, let's see. I need a piece of white paper. Here's my white paper. And it would probably be better to have a piece of white card, but I don't have a piece of white card, so I'm just going to show you on paper. I'm going to show you how to do the double one here, and we'll do it with this pretty one. And this is one that I glued with the super glue. I did glue a few of them with the super glue, and I glued a few of them with when I originally did my tests, because I always try and test these things first to make sure they're going to work. And these ones that were glued with nail polish, the ones we did today, and some of these others I've been working with, they've been glued for like a few weeks and they're still holding just fine. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my glue on here. I could have put it on my paper like I did with all the rest, but I'm going to spread that around a little bit. There. And I spread that around enough all the way around the edges, if you can see, so that I should have enough to actually catch this without even having to put more glue on there. That's the only good thing about when you do that. And I'm going to have too much. You just have your glue around there. Put that in so it catches into the glue. And if you do this and you didn't get enough glue and it kind of starts to come apart a little bit, just throw some more glue in there. It's no big deal. There's never anything that's not fixable. And I'm going to need to cut it right there. And I'm going to put, if I can get some more glue out, I'm going to put just a little bit of glue right there at the start finish to make sure that I've got a lot. Not necessarily a lot, but I want to make sure that I have a good grab right there at the start finish. And then I'm going to go around next to there and push each one of these down. That's the one thing I forgot to show you on the others that I glued, is you should go around and push them down all the way around, just to make sure that they have good contact with their glue. Because sometimes, you know, it goes around there so easily, sometimes you can't tell. Alrighty, and there is what it looks like if you do the double. And then when those are done, you just trim around them however you want to. You can trim in like this, which is what I will do with this one anyways. So you can just trim in all the way around, but I'm going to wait for it to dry first. Or like I said, you can just kind of flower around it. You can even go way out here and flower around it. So that's what we have for that. I will be back in just a few minutes to show you what we need for next week. Okay, so a quick finish up and what we need for next week. This is what everything finished off looks like. I have 3 tacks. There's our one that was glitter. Glitter nail polish and regular nail polish. Whoops. This tack was just a picture. And it's just an abstract picture. And then this one was glued on with my glitter nail polish. And then we have, wish I could get a better lighting here. We have our, this one was a necklace, the center of a necklace. This one is a bouquet of pink roses. This is our striped one. I love how that one turned out. A flower that I made with the sunburst on it. And then we have some plain ones here. And I didn't want to do all of these with the bling around them because I don't know how I'm going to want to use them. And so I just left some of them plain. And then this one is the butterfly. And then we have the kind of Moroccan type design. And then we have our clock. So those are the ones that we did, less the ones that have fallen off while I was showing you. And now I'm going to show you what we need for next week. Next week we are going to need from the Dollar Tree, these ones it says that they are sunflowers, but you can also get daisies. What you need to get is a flower that has these thin petals on it, like a daisy petal, or this is a sunflower petal. But you need these thin, you don't need big fat round petals. You need to have these thin petals because next week we are going to make dragonflies. And so you'll need a thin petal flower, a daisy, a sunflower if it has these thin ones. And you're going to need some wire. This also came from the Dollar Tree. And they have this, and then they also have it in 3 just silver packs. Number one, this one comes with 6 rolls, so you get more. Plus the fact of the wire that's inside of the red and the black is very thin, and that works better. This silver is a little bit thicker. The thin wire works better. So if you can get this pack, get this pack. But if you can only get the one with the 3 rolls of silver, go ahead and get that one. I almost forgot to tell you that we need to have some nippers from the Dollar Tree. These are wire cutters, and they have them in their floral section. If you can't find these at your Dollar Tree, you can pick up another pair of scissors to take their place, and then just write on your scissors wire cutters, because you don't want to cut wire with your paper scissors or your material scissors because it will ruin them. And when you go to cut your paper, the nicks that the wire leaves in your scissors will leave it won't cut your paper smooth. So then we have the wire cutters, and also we'll need our sticky glue from the beginning of the series. So that's what we'll need: our flowers, our wire cutters, our bling, and our sticky glue. And so we have $3 this week. We're going to keep the $2 and put it aside along with last week's $1 because we will be using that money next week to purchase, because we'll need a little bit more money next week. So we're going to use that to purchase next week's items. And we are on our way to making a jelly plate. So we're picking up the items to get that started, and we're saving money. And I am hoping by week 13 or 14 we will make a jelly plate. So thank you very much for watching. I hope that you enjoyed the little blingy flower centers and blingy embellishments. I hope you have fun making them. And I hope that you all have an outstanding day. Bye-bye.